Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Farzy Show. My name is Marc Farzy. This little show we like to do here is presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com, and we do it from the Steven Singer Studios. Welcome in. I see the chat already. Dan, Tyvita, good to see you guys. Hey, happy 234th birthday to the United States Constitution. Why do I know that today's the birthday of the Constitution? Because I was really missing the Phillies last night, and I said, you know what? I'm not getting a chance to talk a lot about the Phillies tomorrow. So I'll talk draft today. Talk about Kyrie Irving possibly being on the move from the Brooklyn Nets. I'll talk about P.J. Tucker being on the move from the Miami Heat after choosing to opt out of his next year, his final year of his contract with a $7.4 million. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to hit free agency and see what happens. Thought it was very interesting that our friend Kyle Newbeck, a Philly Voice, tweeted out something along the lines of Joel Embiid being rather interested in what P.J. Tucker does. Two names now out there over the last 3 days, guys that Joel Embiid has offered high praise for in the NBA, so we'll follow those stories. And like I said, if I'm perusing on this day in history, it means I actually miss the Philadelphia Phillies. And that's what dawned on me last night. It feels good, really good, to be in a place where I actually miss the Phillies on their off day. Over the last couple of years, that hasn't been the case. The Phillies have been smoking hot lately in the standings on the diamond, finding so many different ways to win ball games, as we've talked about many different times. But the overall greater effect of all of that is that on a day off and you miss them, you feel like they have finally become relevant again. It settles in after a while. Whether or not they win 12 of 14 or they win 13 of 15, whatever it might be, they win 9 in a row. They get a new interim manager, quote unquote. Their star player, Bryce Harper's out with a blister that I talked about yesterday that unfortunately is infected. Hopefully, we'll see him back in the lineup tonight at 8:05 when they start their brief 2-game series with the Texas Rangers in Texas. But the bottom line is I actually missed them last night. I came home. I was playing in the Michael Barkan golf outing. Is it noticeable? Am I doing a little red? I had my hat on yesterday, so my dome shouldn't be too the lobster red. Now looking at myself on the monitor, yeah, it's pretty red. So anyway, I'm coming home last night, and I'm thinking, that's right, the Phillies are off today, which is why Michael Barkan would have his golf outing on a day the Phillies have off. And I'm like, I'm going to miss them tonight. I guess I'm going to watch Yellowstone with the missus. No press conferences to watch tonight. No late night, 8:05 start times, which means a maybe 11 o'clock press conference to stay up for. Yeah, not going to happen. And it felt good to actually miss the Phillies last night. And that's why I was looking up, what happened on this day in history? Maybe that'll occupy my mind for a second. And it did. 234 years. Happy birthday, U.S. Constitution. More pressing matters when it comes to the Philadelphia sports scene. The NBA draft, as we started talking about yesterday, is on Thursday this week. And for people that missed the show yesterday, I'm going to be rather upset if the Sixers actually take a pick at number 23. Today, we'll go over a couple of names that the Sixers could take there, but that's a position that I don't want the Sixers to be in. I feel like a pick at 23 right now is a waste of time. I feel like the time to win for the Sixers is right now, not just because Joel Embiid isn't getting any younger, but also because James Harden isn't getting any younger. And from what we saw last year, Harden seems to be aging rapidly. And the question I have asked all the NBA experts that have been on this show over the past several months is whether or not this is the James Harden forever or this is the James Harden who just needs to recover from a hamstring injury. We've got a pretty interesting mix of both. And the only way to really know is to watch the future play out. I am not overly confident that James Harden will ever return to anything that we saw in Houston. Joel Embiid had pointed that out. I need right now, as I have said in the past, Daryl Morey to be the GM that Houston had. We talk about James Harden being the Houston version of James Harden. I need the Houston version of Daryl Morey. I need him to make a deal by Thursday. I don't want to see them take a pick at 23. I want to see them use that pick with a package of the guys that they have been dangling out there. The guys that I mentioned yesterday, the only ones that I didn't mention was Furkan Korkmaz, only because I'm not really expecting to get a lot for Furky. But when it comes to everybody else, I would love to see this 23rd pick packaged in a deal to make them better right now. Now, there's a couple of names that you could look at 23 that I know would be players that they would take. It would take time for them to develop. There is nobody I see at this point in the draft, if they take at 23, if these guys are available, breaking out onto the scene the way even Matisse Thybulle did, let alone, of course, Tyrese Maxey, who we talked about yesterday, was the needle in the haystack. Don't expect that to be the rule. That is absolutely the exception. But looking at some of the things yesterday and reading around, one of the names that jumped out to me, of course, a Duke player, never is really all that attractive, doesn't really have a great long history in the NBA, especially that late in the draft. But Mark Williams was one of the guys that crossed my mind simply because of his defensive prowess. Hell of a defensive player. He can be aggressive. He can block shots. He's got a spring in his step so he can attack the rim as well on the offensive end. He's not a perennial all-star in the making, or he's not anybody that's highly touted or anything like that. But he's just a guy I've seen some of the other NBA experts put in there as a guy that the Sixers could be interested in. The center position there. I know that last year they really missed having somebody after Andre Drummond moved on in the trade involving Ben Simmons and obviously James Harden. For me, the bigger deal in that wasn't Seth Curry. I know a lot of people looked at Seth Curry and said they're really going to miss that outside shooting. I didn't feel like offense was going to be the problem for the Sixers. I thought the problem for the Sixers was going to be defense, rebounding, and somebody to come off the bench and give significant minutes at the center position when he needed to spell Joel Embiid a few minutes. And sure enough, that's exactly the way it played out. Instead, we had to go on this circus of the Doc Rivers talking about how even though Paul Reed was playing well, we all wanted Paul Reed to be out there, and Paul Reed was the best option. We almost had to fight, bitch, and moan as a fan base to just get him a couple of more minutes, even though Doc Rivers, we're not going on the Paul Reed victory tour. So they definitely need somebody that could log a couple of minutes as a backup center other than just Paul Reed. And Williams might be a good example of that. The other is Jaden Hardy, who I love where these guys are coming out of. League Ignite. Now, he's a guard. He's a scorer. He wants to get after the rim. He wants to shoot from the outside. He wants to make sure he is, racking up the points for his team. The intriguing thing is, like a lot of these guys, only 19 years old. So that's another name you can look for. He's a guard coming out of the 23rd spot in the NBA draft. The other name out there, and this is a name I have to say so slowly, Nikola Jovic. Jovic. That's how you got to say it. Serbian 6'11". Not Nikola Jokic, just to say it slowly, but another center, or forward rather, 6'11", Nikola Jovic. I think I'll put the stank on the front of it. The only thing he's kind of known for is no defense and being tall, and he can shoot from the outside. So he's more of the offensive skill set than he is the defensive skill set. I guess the guys like Nikola are kind of, known for that. Those are three names that the Sixers had to take a pick at 23. Those are a few names that you could certainly look out for. I hope all these guys have wonderful NBA careers. I wish them nothing but the best in life. However, I do not want them on the 76ers. I don't want the Sixers to have any player from this draft play on this team next year or in the next 2 years. This is the only time to make this deal. And I'll be talking about this. We're going to have some other NBA people on later this week. This is the only point I think that needs to be made about this draft. I have never looked at a draft, probably in any sport, and it would, yes, mostly apply to basketball. I have never looked at a draft that ever said, I don't want anybody. Give me no one. Unless there's some kind of really crazy deal that Daryl Morey had in his back pocket where they move up, which is not happening. But other than that, nobody at 23. Nobody at 20. I don't want it. The best thing for the Sixers is to trade that pick. And some people, I give them all the credit in the world, some people have acknowledged this. When Bleacher Report was writing about this, they went so far as to say, if the Sixers don't trade that 23rd overall pick for a more veteran presence on this team, then you know what they're going to do? They're going to be better. Just if they push that aside and don't do what's ultimately best for the team, here's a name that you might actually like the Sixers taking. No, there's no name. I'm going to drive this point home all week. Now is the time to cash in all the chips. The fact that the Nets gave you a chip in return, for instance, saying thanks but no thanks to the 23rd overall pick, that gives you one more trade pick. Like, we talk about it all the time, and I know I might sound like a broken record, but we talk about it all the time with second round picks as sweeteners. Well, then, the 23rd overall pick sounds pretty damn sweet to me. If you're looking at second round picks as just sweeteners to deals. This is real sugar. This ain't sweet and low. You still have a first round pick. That's some good old sugar right there. This isn't Splenda. All right? That's more of a second round pick. So I'd love to see Daryl Morey do something that wows us. Now, a couple other things that are interesting in free agency is Bradley Beal came out over the weekend, and this is one of the things I was referencing earlier in the show. There's 3 names over the last 3 days. One, Saturday, they come out in The Athletic with the idea that Bradley Beal has told people close to him that he has decided where he is going to go. He's just not letting anybody know yet. So, okay, he's on the move. Let's look at the connection to the 76ers. This is name number 1, Bradley Beal. Look at the connection to the 76ers. He's been rumored through Bill Simmons that Joel Embiid really wanted Bradley Beal here before the James Harden deal, and the James Harden deal was, for lack of a better term, the consolation prize, not getting Bradley Beal here in Philadelphia. Name number 2, P.J. Tucker. What I was alluding to earlier, I would love to see P.J. Tucker on the 76ers. It was something that before he went to the Bucks, I was like, do they really need P.J. Tucker? I love his defense. I love his attitude. Is that what they need at this point? Will he mesh well with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and all that stuff? And, yeah, he would have. I don't know about Ben Simmons, but I know about Joel Embiid. And one of the things Kyle Neubeck pointed out from Philly Voice just yesterday was Joel Embiid's comments some time ago about P.J. Tucker and what he's able to do on the basketball court and his overall attitude, most notably. Joel Embiid wants guys that are going to go out there on the court and battle with him every single day. He wants to be out there with guys that want to win as bad as he does, guys that will play with a broken face just to help his team win basketball games. Just if it puts his team in a better position to win basketball games. So P.J. Tucker probably looking for a nice deal. Guys obviously won a championship. So he's looking for something special here. If $7+ million wasn't good enough for him to stay in Miami with a team that definitely has another chance to run it back, as they say, then he might be looking to cash in elsewhere. So Philadelphia might not be the best fit for him money-wise, but I wouldn't mind seeing if Daryl Morey can make it work. And then the third name is a shot in the dark, not going to happen. But it's a name that I know some people will be raising their eyebrows over. And I love this word, and it got used yesterday. I think it was Shams Charania who put it out there from The Athletic. Kyrie Irving, and the Brooklyn Nets are at a, wait for it, great word, impasse. In other words, Facebook-wise, it's complicated, folks. It's very complicated. And I remember towards the end of last season, it was at the end of the year, actually, right after they got swept out by the Celtics, which is just wow to even say that out loud after what that team was supposed to be in Brooklyn. Harden's not there. Irving might not be out there. Kevin Durant, who knows? But Sean Marks, who we all got to know through the Ben Simmons saga, talking about how he needs people in Brooklyn that really want to win. They're going to put the best interests of their teammates, of the franchise, ahead of their own. My, oh my, who can it be talking about? Kyrie Irving. That's who he's talking about. Mr. No vaccine. Earth is flat. I don't want to play. And you know what? Hey, that's his decision. But when the GM talks about putting the team in front of yourself, who the hell else is he talking about? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe Ben Simmons. Legit back injury, though, folks. If Kyrie Irving was to move on from the Nets, first off, I'm just happy that the Sixers wouldn't have to play against him, at least not in this division, maybe. At least not in Brooklyn, maybe elsewhere, who knows. But he's not going back to Boston. I know that, so that's nice. The Knicks, I don't think that's going to happen. But I know some people look at, would you do Kyrie Irving? Yeah, I would. I would do it. I like Kyrie Irving more than I like James Harden here in Philadelphia, and that's an obvious statement. I don't think it ever happens, but I know some people are going to be raising their eyebrows at that idea. The Nets can still pay him the most money. They have the rights for the next contract extension. He can opt out of his deal. It's $30 million plus by the end of the month. And if he doesn't opt into the deal, then he can become a free agent and test free agency. Again, the Nets have his rights, so they can still give him the most money. This is something that always comes up in the NBA because, why would a guy move on if he can make the most money there? Well, because he can still make a lot of money in his career. That's why. So that'll be the difference that a lot of people are looking at. So we'll see if those maybe sign-in trades come through, not with PJ Tucker, but possibly with either Kyrie Irving or possibly with Bradley Beal. Zach LaVine's name still gets mentioned out there. But as far as I'm concerned, you need people who are NBA proven. I know veteran is a very general term used for this, but I need somebody that's going to come in here and be an offensive powerhouse with Joel Embiid and James Harden. I need somebody in here that I was really looking for when the James Harden deal went through. Because what we got last year, I still think is most likely what James Harden is going to be in the next 2 to 3 years, depending on whatever contract he ends up signing here in Philadelphia. Because I don't think James Harden's on the move. I do believe the report that he and Daryl Morey are working on a short-term deal to keep him here in Philadelphia and not at the max contract that he is eligible for, which I think is a wise thing for both parties. But I don't see James Harden playing leaps and bounds better than what we have seen him play at the level we've already seen him play at here in Philadelphia. So that's where you need to go out and get that next guy. I would love to see Tyrese Maxey jump up and be that scorer between James Harden and Joel Embiid on this team. I would love Tobias Harris to stay here and be better than what we have seen him play, more like he played in this past playoff run throughout the rest of the regular season. And that's a guy that would definitely be earning that contract a little bit more than what he is right now. But I don't see all that coming to fruition. I see Tyrese Maxey. Everyone talks about the big step forward he took this year, and that's 1,000% correct. It was a giant leap, but he's not going to be afforded the same opportunity to improve as much as he did from a bench player last year to a starting point guard this year, and then a little bit of shooting guard as well when James Harden was here. The room was there for growth from year 1 to year 2. Year 2 to year 3, that room isn't going to be as much. He is more close to his ceiling than he was a lot closer last year, of course, 2 years ago. So the room for growth just isn't going to be there for Tyrese Maxey. I still see him taking a step forward, but I don't think it's going to be that giant leap. Like all of a sudden, I don't think he's going to be a guy, especially on this team, that's going to be dropping you 25 to 30 points a game. I think he could definitely get you to that 20 to 22 points per game type of mark. That's the consistency I'd love to see him score with. And if he is working as much as people already say he's working, if Doc Rivers is telling him, no, don't even come to the gym yet, you need some time off, and now he's posting video sessions of him out there working out and all that, that's great. Love it. Great work ethic, kid. That's what you need to survive in this city if you're going to be the best possible athlete that you can be. We're all here for it. We're all rooting for it. But if you're able to bring in that next level talent, somebody to complete a big 3 or big 4, and talking to some other people that don't see James Harden as part of any big 3 at this point in his career, here's what I know. The regular season is going to be a show for the 76ers. And we're all going to be watching, and we're going to be paying attention, and we're going to watch great things that Joel Embiid does. We're going to watch a couple games James Harden has, and we're going to be blown away. And Tyrese Maxey is going to have a 40-point game at some point, and we're going to be thinking, this is incredible, this is great. But come playoff time, the 76ers cannot be in a position to depend on James Harden to be a clutch player. That has been proven throughout his entire career, and we saw it again this past playoff season. They need somebody else to rely on. I'd love for it to be Tyrese Maxey. Obviously, I want it to be Joel Embiid. But they're going to need somebody else in this lineup, somebody else on this roster to step up and be somebody that they can depend on in the clutch. The regular season, the NBA, is, as far as I'm concerned, more so than any other sport, a great show But when it comes to the end of that, that's why they're considering having a mid-season tournament. They're like, okay, well, guys really are taking all this serious, and it's a nice ramp up, and the playoffs are so great. And, what are we going to do here? That's why they're considering a mid-season tournament, which is still just wild to me. Like, do you have a parade for the people that win that? How's that work? So when the Sixers get to the playoffs, who else are they going to depend on? Again, I'd love for it to be Joel Embiid. There's been an injury history there. I'd love for it to be Tyrese Maxey. I'd love to see him really take over as an offensive threat. Right there with Joel Embiid. Love to see that happen this year. It can't be James Harden. And to go even further, go a little bit more in-depth there, I don't want the 76ers to make some kind of crazy, ridiculous deadline deal. I don't feel like that pans out, because what do we hear at the end of that season after a disappointing playoff exit? Well, it was the second makeup of this team at the deadline. We had to really, do some shifting when James Harden came here. We really had a bunch of different makeovers with this team when we traded for Jimmy Butler, and then we traded for Tobias Harris at the deadline, and then we tried to push forward in the playoffs. It's tough to do when you have 5 different makeovers of a team in the same season. All right, well then how about this? How about Daryl Morey does the majority of the work before this, like in the off season, and then you have an entire off season to get on the same page, and then you have a little training camp there in Camden to get on the same page. Then you have some exhibition games, preseason games to get on the same page, and then you roll into the regular season, and it all looks beautiful. How about that? Can we give that a roll? Can we give that a dice roll? Just a suggestion. Because that's what I think we need to see from the 76ers going into this NBA season. Not, what big deal are they going to make at the deadline? No, I'd rather than make the big deal in the offseason and then find the chemistry guys, find the glue guys, find the PJ Tuckers then of the world that can come in at the deadline and just play a role. Like George Hill, when he came here, was supposed to be the guy that ran the second unit. It was a great idea that did not pan out. When I saw that he was coming to Philadelphia, I was like, all right, somebody other than Shake Milton to run the second unit. Great. Didn't work out. On paper, it was the right idea. It was the right move. Did not work out. I don't want the deadline deal to be, this is the move that's going to put them over the top. It's just so great with all the talent they just got. No, they just need the little pieces. The backup center. The backup point guard. The small forward that can hit threes for you. That's it. The guy off the bench come in, good consistency. Like a George Niang type of player to come off the bench. That's what I need. I don't need somebody to be a starter in that regard. If you can get the star power, I get it. You're going to pull the trigger on that deal. But when it comes to getting this team ready for that long run, I think it starts before this draft on Thursday night. It starts well before that. It starts with getting those veterans now, those guys where you know what you're getting when you're acquiring them. So if that's Beal, I'm in. If that's Levine, great. It's not going to be Kyrie Irving. Even if it's PJ Tucker, just in terms of signing him when he's opting out of his deal. Yeah, I'm for that. As long as they can make the money work. Which to me, in any sport, whenever somebody says it costs too much or they can't fit it in the cap, whatever it might be, it's like the complexities of the cap, God bless you if you understand every little idiosyncrasy about it. But for me, I'll leave it up to Daryl Morey. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about all these different players they could be acquiring. I need Daryl Morey to show me why he's supposed to be such a great general manager. I need Daryl Morey to step up this offseason and make sure that, hey, Doc Rivers, who's going to be here, folks, is familiar with his roster and familiar with how the pieces and players on his roster are all going to be playing together when the regular season starts. And then most importantly, whenever it is that the NBA season rolls around, it feels like it's going to be forever, that those guys are ready to play for one another. And they're on the same page. And that whole gelling thing isn't going to happen a couple of weeks before the playoffs start. It's going to happen much sooner than that, like the start of the season. And we all feel a lot better about where we are as Sixers fans and where this team is as a roster, hopefully a complete roster. That's what I'll be crossing my fingers for. Did I tell you how much I missed the Phillies yesterday? I do want to give a shout out to the Michael Barkan Foundation, who put on his golf outing yesterday. It was at French Creek Golf Club up there in Elverson, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour. It's about like Reading area, sort of. Beautiful golf course. The Nasty Knuckles guys had their Athletes for Care golf outing there last year. And if you guys remember, that's the one I came back from where I was bright red. Didn't exactly get too heavy with the suntan lotion, which is my own mistake. But went out there for a great cause for the Maggi family. Shout out to my man, Marc Maggi. It was a great event. Saw Leslie Goodell for the first time in a long time. It was great to see her again. She couldn't play. She had a little broken finger. God bless her. Still came out, tipped the cap, and say hello to the crowd. Amy Fadul was out there. Her awesome husband, Sean Kane, was out there. Willie T was out there. I had a great experience with I never thought, and I had never met Willie T. I met him in passing once at an event and whatever. It was hello. That was it. But I never thought in my first conversation with Willie T, he would say, "Hey, did you guys get shots?" I never thought I would hear that because they had a Tito's bar set up. And me and my the group I was with, great bunch of guys that I played golf with yesterday. Sometimes in those situations, I'm sure the foursome that's out there that signed up to play is nervous about who they're going to get assigned. Not nervous, but like I hope we get a decent guy, whatever. And I hope I'm always a gracious fifth guy in the group. And these guys I played with were just great. They played fast, most importantly. They played well, even more importantly. And most importantly, they were just a good bunch of guys. All H&H guys, Harper Horsham guys, so not too far from my neck of the woods. Originally from Monco, originally from Montgomery County, grew up in Bucks County in Doylestown, originally from Ambler, but these were some great guys I played with yesterday. So shout out to those guys for a great round. Saw John Runyon. He looks like he can still play, as they say, right? Seth Joyner was out there, Ricky Vitalico, a whole cast of characters. Ruben Amaro Jr. was out there. Great bunch of guys hanging out on the golf course. Great bunch of people for a great cause as well. So shout out to the Barkan Family Foundation for being kind enough to invite me out to play some golf. Oh, saw my old friend Bob Cooney. Got to catch up with Bob. Bob and I are obviously still friends. And it was good to see him yesterday as well. Casey Boy for the Preston was there as well. It was great to catch up with some people I haven't seen in some time. And it really is wild, man. And I know a lot of you guys are going through this in your own lives. With pandemic, there's people that you saw regularly. And then a pandemic happened and you don't see them no more. Like it's just, you might shoot a text. You might comment on a Facebook post or an Instagram post or a TikTok, whatever. And then you see them in person. It's like, I don't know. I saw Michael Barkan. I just gave him a big hug. Ray Didinger was out. That liar who told me I wouldn't be seeing him for a long time. And there he is signing copies of his books. Come on, man. But it was great. It was a great event. And I was really happy to be a part of it. So shout out to the Michael Barkan Family Foundation for that. Let me tell you about Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Seibert is a retirement income certified professional at Destination Retirement LLC and a partner of 1847 Financial and an advisor for Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies fans only. And maybe next year, the Flyers. When it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up the current enjoyment of your income? The answer is to have income streams in retirement. It only makes sense to understand how retirement income streams work so that you can direct savings in ways that give you the highest income when you retire. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Is the objective just to get to the top of the mountain, or is the objective to get to the top of the mountain and then safely back down the mountain? Going up the mountain is your accumulation years. Going down the mountain is your distribution years. These are the different phases of your financial life, and each should be addressed separately. This month, let's talk about college planning. We all know that college is expensive. Have you ever thought about how it will affect your retirement? Let Mike show you an efficient way to help you pay for your kids' college education and still retire on your own terms. Your first step is to avoid starting your growth cycle over by depleting accounts like 529s for big expenses like college. You don't want to lose your position on your growth cycle and have to start over. You can't get that time back. Instead, set yourself up with the ability to use vehicles that you can take money out of without starting your growth cycle over again. Find out how your annual retirement savings can help your college savings and how your annual college savings can help your retirement savings. Michael, set up your own portal and retirement analyzer, then use the software to help you navigate through the different phases of your financial life. For questions or to set up a meeting with Mike, email him at gobirds@1847financial.com. That's gobirds@1847financial.com. Or you can call his office at 484-275-6035, 484-275-6035. You can also visit his website at destinationretirement.com. And as always, go Birds and go Phils. How about that? Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row, ladies and gentlemen. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Here's what I love about Steven Singer Jewelers. One, how you get treated. There's no pressure at Steven Singer Jewelers. You don't feel like when you walk in there, you're like, they're about to get me. Need to buy a diamond. I want to get engaged. I got to buy a great gift from my lady. Or, that's just a special someone in your life. When you walk into Steven Singer Jewelers, you're going to be able to relax, feel comfortable, have a seat. Yeah, sure, look around. We'll be with you in a second if you want a minute, no problem. And sit down. You look at all the beautiful, dazzling diamond inventory at Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer Jewelers. A real jewelry expert will sit you down, walk you through everything, and most importantly, like I said, make you feel comfortable. And how do they do that? Well, with a wonderful guarantee. And that's the perfect price. Every single time on every single item. They got Ready for Love diamond engagement rings standing by at the ready at prices that are very affordable for everyone. And when you walk into Steven Singer Jeweler, a lot of times, like I said, you feel that pressure. Oh, let me look at the price tag. Yeah! I'll tell you right now, that price tag is at that perfect price. That's the guarantee. Other jewelers mark things way up just to mark it down a couple of bucks in front of you, while Steven Singer has everything marked down. So when you walk in, you're just ready to buy. No negotiating, no haggling, no pressure of that. Oh, did the guy next to me pay less than I did? I wish I was a better negotiator. Yeah, not the case. Everyone's getting the same price. That's why it's the perfect price guarantee at Steven Singer Jewelers. Do what I do. I recommend to you, to my own friends and family, go to Steven Singer Jewelers. IHateStevenSinger.com. Let me tell you about Rothman Orthopedics, our guests on this show, on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Remember the old you? The one that didn't have to put up with a fickle knee, a finicky hip, or a shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do. The Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you, back to running, back to walking, back to working, back to playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Versus Game app, the new app. I'll tell you right now, we've worked with quite a few apps on this show. When it comes to getting something out of these games, Versus Game by far has been our best interactive app on this show. Download the Versus Game app. Look for this logo in the App Store or Google Play Store. Download it to your phone and let the games begin. Follow at Farzy Show and make sure you get in on the questions that we love to ask. My question this week is a play on those Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers, will they make a pick at the 23rd overall selection come Thursday night? Or will they trade it away? Will they make a pick? Yes or no? That's the question right now. We already have a whole slew of answers on that one. So download the Versus Game app to your phone, follow at Farzy Show, and just simply say yes or no. And that's how you can win yourself some money on the Versus Game app. Have yourself a great time. Download it to your phone right now. How about Freestone Farm CBD, ladies and gentlemen? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll find an incredible CBD menu at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. It's absolutely amazing. Menu is something you'll absolutely love, like their tropical tasting Bayox, for instance, that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys, doesn't get any better than this. They also grow their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM. There's absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just one look or smell, you'll know it's CBD done right. And that this product is great for anyone looking to take a more natural approach to everything they put in their bodies. And oh my goodness, how did I not even mention this? You like CBD? You want to try a different CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. 20% off when you use promo code Farzy. That's right, 20% off. Just the promo code Farzy. That's right. FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Promo code Farzy at checkout at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation? Enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. Go to PHLSportsNation.com. I already see you guys are humming in the chat. God bless you. Let's jump into our chat check right now, ladies and gentlemen. Tyvita, yay, I'm finally first. Good morning. That's right, Tyvita. Good morning. Dan Schwartz, hello. Tyvita. Kevin. Good morning, Kevin. Kyle. Swirly. What's up, bud? Mickey Diaz, good morning to you. Mickey, I didn't forget about you at the golf outing. I was all over the place yesterday. I'll get you back. Darian, what's going on, Darian? Am I crazy enough to want Kyrie? Yes, Darian. No, you're not, because I, too, want Kyrie Irving on this team. It's not happening with James Harden, and Daryl Morey is not going to be like, oh, James Harden, maybe I can get rid of him and keep Kyrie Irving. I'd be blown away. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Kevin, yo, Fars. Yo, Kevin. Kyle, sorry, Miss Cusi. Mickey Diaz, good morning. April. Is the daughter still down in the Outer Banks, April, just living life while you're working? Huh? Kids today, I'll tell you. Dan Schwartz, it's usually vice versa, and you miss the days off. Yeah, right. You usually miss the off days, that's for sure, Dan. It's here's what yesterday was like for me. It's the best way I can set it up. When we're getting ready for baseball season, and it's spring training's winding down, and the Phillies come north, and you see them play at Citizens Bank Park for a couple more exhibition games, and then they have like a day off, and then they play opening day. And that whole walk-up is, I've missed baseball because it's every day, and no matter what kind of day you're having, you can always look at a Phillies score and go, let's see what the Phillies are doing. They lost. But there's all this hope and optimism. But the day after opening day, where they have that scheduled off day for in case there's a rain delay, whatever, that's the worst day in sports as I'm concerned, because you're so ramped up and ready, and you watch the first game and you go, baseball's back, and then it's like, yeah, but we'll be back in 2 days. Like, what? Like, that's what yesterday felt like. The Phillies have created all this excitement, like leading up to opening day, and then it was like, stop, excitement, pause for a day, and then resume on Tuesday. That's what yesterday was like for me. Hey, what happened on this day in history? Oh, wow. The Constitution was born. No way. Good times. Tavita, I'm not going to lie. I forgot they didn't come on yesterday, too. Tavita, it would be funny if just everyone was like, are the Phillies on Peacock again today? Because I can't find them anywhere. Similar effect from what I understand from people. I do have Peacock, by the way. And my wife and I have been watching Yellowstone on that. We enjoy the Yellowstone, right? I didn't get it at first. And I like all that. Hey, for people that have been on this show for a while, you guys saw me ride the horse last year in Colorado on my uncle-in-law's ranch, the Buckeye Ranch out there in Colorado. And so I like the whole horses thing. I like animals and all that. And I remember when Yellowstone, when I started watching it, which was a couple months ago, and we're like almost already caught up, my wife and I. It was a lot like that ranch scene, but then it was like, at what point, this is my land. Yeah, but I want it. Yeah, but it's my land. Yeah, but I want it. I'm like, okay, I get it. Can somebody I don't know, can something else exciting happen here other than, this is my land. Yeah, but I want it. Like that. Okay, I get it. Thank you. And boy, it heats up. Oh, it heats up. My neighbor was really into the show. I told him that about the whole thing, my land and whatever. And he's like, just, oh my God. He was like, no, wait, just keep watching. Don't stop watching. It's epic. And sure enough, it's been epic. He was right. Shout out, Kurt. What do we got here? I think we're going to have to, no one wants to, what happened here? What am I missing? Tyvita, I think we're going to have to, because no one wants what we have now. Okay. Oh, the technicality. I see what you're saying, Dan. Yeah, technically they have to make the pick and then pick a player that another team wants and then trade it. So that's how we're looking at it. We need PJ. Can we get him? Yeah, you can get him. It's going to cost money. My feeling is that a guy that's won a championship and he's on the back end of his career is going to be in a position to attempt to cash out, get that big paycheck. We need PJ, but can we get him? Good morning, Sean. Are you interested in... Is that Rico Bronya? Is that what I'm seeing here? Is that because I mentioned Rico Bronya the other day? Sean, good morning. Well, the fact that the Nets have turned this down, this year's draft pick, the Sixers have traded to them, is a good indication that this year's draft is more top-heavy than next year's draft. Mickey, not far off. I agree with that. Prefer a team with no flat earthers, personally. Can somebody explain to me the picture that people have of the guy that brought a level on a flight, like a carpenter's level on a flight? And I was like, see, it's flat. Are they doing that on the horizon? Is that what they're trying to do? Bonkers to me. Philly doesn't deal with those kind of attitudes. People like that always get traded, so he's definitely not coming here. Is that? I'll see. This is. I agree, April. Sorry, Tavita. I agree. Sean, we need players with intestinal fortitude and that killer instinct. I don't really know any big team talent will come here besides coaching. Gross. Guapo. Good morning, Guapo. Mickey Diaz. That's very optimistic, and I hope you're right. See, that's something that would make me love Daryl Morey. Still in the belief that the Sixers can get Beal without giving up Maxey. Immense creativity is an absolute must, but it can be done, especially if Beal has already looked toward a new team. I mean, that certainly helps the Sixers situation, that Beal is just like, yeah, Wizards, I'm done. So forcing the hand, whether that's free agency or that's a sign and trade. Dan Schwartz, Bugs Bunny reference. What? I know who is a nut. We could acquire Bugs Bunny. He's a veteran, played with Jordan, and likes to say, "What's up, Doc?" And will stroke the coach's ego. I prefer that nut. You prefer Bugs Bunny more than Kyrie Irving. Normally, I'd say you're crazy, but we don't do that anymore. I think it's a great idea. Mickey Diaz also finds that funny. Tavita, unfortunately, Tobias can start playing better than Maxey, but he still has to go because of the contract. Oh, I see what you're saying. If Tobias even raised his level to pass Maxey, it still wouldn't be worth the contract. I agree. Crazy guys, getting Kyrie costs too much sanity. So out on Kyrie. April, you're a Harper Horsham alum, huh? Harper Horsham. These guys were referencing Maple Glen Pizza yesterday. I guess I know Maple Glen Pizza. To like the CB West kids or just Doylestown kids in general, like myself, that was like Nat's Pizza was where it was at. And Maple Glen Pizza was where I know a lot of the H&H kids went. Dan Schwartz, you were actually there. I met you, Dan, the day Sal Palantonio kept recalling Bob Cooney Bobby. And from that point on, we were like, do you go by Bobby? And he was like, oh, some people call me Bobby. And Bobby! Bobby! Babu! Dan, I see what you're doing, and you're right. All this talk about weave? What? What are we talking about here? I missed it. Where you at? Farzy. Here we go. Sean Gillespie. What's up, Sean? Sean Gillespie. Glue on hair, too much trouble, not to mention irritation. Farzy can just get a front weave then. Guys, that ship has sailed. I do not desire hair on top of my head. Remember when Hugh would come on for Hugh's Days? He got the hair transplant to help the station because they had a sales deal tied to it. That's a difficult thing in radio. It's like if you say no,
they'll come to you with something like, okay, let's say a hair restoration. And they'll come to you and they'll say, do you want to do this? And you could not want to do it, but then somebody else, a salesperson, loses their commission on a sale they would make. So it's like, how do you say no to stuff when you're going to cost the salesperson money? Like, that sucks. It's called being a team player. But even though if you wouldn't want to do it, it still sometimes sucks. Tyvita, I can see it now. Marc with weaves and a beard. I appreciate all these suggestions. Good morning, Fuji. What's up, Fuji? What's happening? April, not waves. Somebody said waves with waves and a beard. Tyvita, I picked up what you're putting down. April, I got you too. Sean Gillespie, welcome to Weave Talk. I will say this. When I moved into the city from good old suburbia, I remember my first couple trips to a fine corner store, or as some might call it, a bodega. And I remember looking around at some stuff and being like, what the hell is that? And I was like, do they sell wigs here? I was like, is it Halloween? Why would there be wigs at a place I'm going to get Gatorade? Like, what the hell's going on here? And I took a closer look, and I was like, oh, those are weaves. Those are extensions. You don't see that in the Doylestown CVS. Tell you that much. There's a place I used to go to. It was the closest thing I could call. It was the closest thing I could say was a corner store in Doylestown. And the name of the place was literally The Little Store. And it was a small house in the middle of a neighborhood, like an old neighborhood. And it was like, this place had no business being in the middle of this neighborhood, but it had been around, I think, forever. And that was like the closest thing I could call a corner store, which was not at all in a corner. It was in the middle of a lot. But that, like, in terms of feel and what they had, like, it's a place you could get milk, you could get Gatorade, you couldn't get weaves or extensions. But that's where you could get a sandwich and a fine potato salad. That's what you could do. It's the best. That's the best part I will say about living in the city. I mean, your proximity to like great restaurants and everything is fine, but in terms of like, we're out of milk, we need milk. I put my shoes on and go get milk, and I bring it back for my kids. Like yeah. I remember my buddy living in the suburbs. He was the first in the group to have kids, and it was like a half hour to load up the car to go get milk. And I'm like, yeah, the city's for me. Don't get me wrong. I know there's a lot of give and take elsewhere. A lot of shootings, not a lot of shootings. I get it. Let's see here. Sean Gillespie, flat earthers, despite centuries of evidence, pictures from space, multiple countries, they don't care about. Now, let's get the flat earthers. All right. Jim G, I don't get the trust for Morey. He hasn't won squat. Jim, I'm with you. I like Daryl Morey. I like that he's been an aggressive GM. In the time leading up to his time with the Sixers, only he and Sam Hinkie made more trades. Actually, no, I can't say Sam Hinkie. Him and the Sixers GMs of Hinkie, Colangelo, de facto Brett Brown, Elton Brand. Those guys combined. The Sixers and the Rockets made the most trades in the NBA over that 10-year span. So he's been aggressive. He's made deals. He hasn't been content, which is good. But now just make the better deal. The wiser deal. Mickey Diaz, absolutely awesome show on Phillies, Sixers, and Weave. Dan, this is even better. First time I met you, Marc, was the first Super Hole tournament, the only Super Hole tournament. Because if you remember, the following year, the lawyers came back and said, we can't call it Super Hole. It sounds too much like Super Bowl. And I looked at them like, are you freaking kidding me? Anyway. First time I met you was the Super Hole tournament. I was up there as one of the contestants. That's right. For trivia, I think I literally said nothing at all. That a guy, Dan. Absolutely awesome. Thank you, Mickey, Dan. Hello again. Dan, you did call me your favorite contestant ever, though. Well, you earned it, Dan. You earned it. Because why? You know, usually contestant means participant. But for you, you trendsetter, No, it was just a contestant. No lie, when I was younger, I used to buy weed from Walmart. They don't have it anymore, though. Tyvita, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. Marc and Bodega. Dude, me in a corner store, that's like my natural habitat. I love it. Absolutely love it. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome as per usual. Now let's run into our morning rush. Brought to you by Sky Motor Cars. SkyMotorCars.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Phillies are back at it tonight, 8:05. We have missed them so much. Did I mention that today is the 234th anniversary of the United States Constitution? Isn't that amazing? It's pretty amazing. Hold on. Did I do that math right? Let me just do some math right. Yeah, 234 years. Thanks. That was one of my best jazz sessions ever. Yes, the Phillies are back in action tonight against the Rangers. 8:05 start time. After this series, by the way, after this 2-game set, they got the Padres. The Padres won last night despite not having Manny Machado. They won 4-1 over the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks suck, so that's cool, as we know. Martin Perez, the lefty, gets to start against Kyle Gibson. Gibson is 2-4 in the season with a 4.04 ERA. Perez having himself a nice year. He's 4-2 with a 2.10 ERA. Left-handed pitcher getting the start. So far this season, he's got 13 starts on the year, coming off just a dominant performance against the Detroit Tigers, where he went 7 innings, allowing just 1 run on 8 hits. Pretty damn good. The upside of that is that in his previous start, he got tattooed by the Southsiders of Chicago. 5 innings, 7 runs, 6 of them earned on 12 hits. So let's see if Phillies bats can keep it going tonight. Bounce back from their last performance against the Nationals after a day off. We'll see what happens with Bryce Harper with that infected blister on his finger. So hopefully he'll be literally back in the swing of things tonight. We'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Marc Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by Destination Retirement, DestinationRetirement.com. From the Steven Singer Studios, Jim Hyden produced the program, did a wonderful job. Listen to Buzz Sports and Entertainment Production. Folks, have a wonderful rest of the day, and let's talk about a Phillies win tomorrow. Thank God we have him back. Have a great day, everybody. Take it easy.